Want to go deeper with Lobbing Scorchers? You know, scratch under the surface, get down even dirtier than we already get. Become a YouTube member. Sometimes things just get a little too spicy, a little too weird, and a little too loose for the general public. And you know, the people to see that are YouTube members. We're talking about exclusive bonus videos, the podcast after show, exclusive written content, and little bits and pieces of information before the unwashed masses know about it. As a member, you not only get access to all of this amazing content, you get a badge next to your name and a slew of amazing emotes to use, not only in our live stream chat, but also in our comment section. And yes, we do have an emote for Jesus Ferreira, Go Snack, and Paul Rothrock. This is the best way to help keep us independent and keep us building out this crazy YouTube brand that we call Lobbing Scorchers. Hit the join button down below or hit the link in the top of our description if you're on mobile to join the ranks and become a Lobbing Scorchers YouTube member.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome in to another episode of Lobbing Scorchers Kickoff. I'm Ari. That's Nico, and we've got a big show for you here this morning. The Seattle Sounders took a little road trip down to Kansas City, and they returned with all 3 points, but not before. A lot of goals, penalty kicks, red cards, drama, and theatrics. We're going to talk about all that and more, including Seattle's short turnaround next matchup coming up against the Colorado Rapids on Wednesday at Lumen Field. Nico, I can't wait to dig into this game with you. I think this was probably the craziest game of the season so far. How you doing?
Hey, what's going on, Ari? First of all, how am I coming on? How are you hearing me, my friend?
No, you're sounding good. You're sounding good. The tech is on point this week.
Love it, love it. Excited to be on. And yes, man, it was a roller coaster sort of performance there from the Sounders, starting really high and then having some issues along the way. Some, beyond the pitch, which, I'm sure we'll get into as well. But excited to be on, man. Thanks for having me, saying hello to everyone out there. Appreciate everybody hopping on. And, let's get to it, man. I think it's going to be is a short week, right? We're going to be able to talk about today's game. We'll talk about Wednesday's game. Then, the game after that. I mean, there's going to be a lot of soccer over the next week for the Seattle Sounders, which means rotations. It means, consistent play and, all of these things that we'll get into here today.
Having some issues, I think, is a good way to put how that game ended for the Seattle Sounders. But yeah, let's talk about this Sporting KC game first and foremost, because I got to get your takes on it. Both there's a lot of positives and some negatives. We're going to talk about both of them right now. But before we do all that, everyone, please like the video, sub to the channel, follow us on all socials, including Instagram and TikTok, and go to lobbingscorchers.com/sauce to order the Lobbing Scorchers hot sauce, which is out right now. Code LS with your order, and you get a free bottle. So you can't beat that. All right, Nico, let's talk about this Sporting KC game, because like we both alluded to, a lot happened. Like I said, I think this would be my pick for craziest game of the season so far. But let's start with the first half. On the post-game show, what happened at the end of the game with the chaos and the red card and all that was sort of fresh in our minds, and that's what we spent a lot of time talking about that at the top of the show. I think a couple days removed from it now, we can start with what we saw at the beginning of the game, because there was a lot of good stuff in that first half. And in fact, I think it was certainly one of the best halves that Seattle has played all season. I think you could argue it was the best half that Seattle has played all season. And what was exciting about that to me, Nico, was that I feel like we have not been able to see what the Sounders attack could look like with Jordan Morris, who was back starting for this game, played that first half, 45 minutes, Jesus Ferreira and Albert Rusnak all together on the field at the same time. I don't think we've seen that much, if at all, this season. And I feel like in this game, we got a taste of what that can look like when it is firing on all cylinders. And honestly, that was pretty electric. They were generating really high quality chances throughout the first half. I think you have to credit Paul Rothrock, obviously, a lot for that. But the entire front four, I mean, they were on point. They looked sharp. They looked like they were executing. Like I said, the chance generation was great, and the output ended up great. They end up getting 3 goals. Jordan Morris gets back on the score sheet early. He loves scoring at Sporting Kansas City. So that was great to see, but that was an excellent, well-worked goal by Seattle and a great assist by Rothrock. They get the penalty kick on the handball on Daniel Salary, but that was an earned PK, not against the run of play by any stretch of the imagination. Rusnak had one cleared off the line just a few minutes before that, so that was another great chance. So that puts them up 2-0, and then Jesus Ferreira gets another goal in transition at the very end of first half stoppage time. Sporting KC has a dangerous little opportunity in the box. Christian Roldan wins the ball, as he does frequently, springs Jesus Ferreira out in transition, and then just excellent interplay between Jesus Ferreira and Albert Rusnak, which that was great to see because there was a lot of talk earlier in the season as to whether those two could play together. Looked like they played together pretty well to me on that play, and then Jesus Ferreira gets his 3rd goal in his last 6 games. He looks like he's heating up, and it looks like he and Rothrock are kind of solidifying themselves as the top dogs at those respective positions. So really, for as not ideal as the ending was, you couldn't have done it up much better in the first half. And it was just great to see this team have that personnel out there playing together like they were, and then getting 3 goals out of it. So, Nico, what did you see offensively from the team in this first half that you liked that led to these 3 goals? And how do you feel about their chances of sustaining that type of performance as we approach the stretch run of the season here?
Yeah, look, this is what I liked. When it comes to the concepts and principles, that first half was immaculate. For one, I think that Brian Smetzer has been really cleared and focused on starting games on the front foot. And, whether it's the first 15, 20, 30 minutes, he wants to control the tempo of the games. He wants to have a lot of intensity. And I feel like both against Columbus and now against Sporting Kansas City, they got off to a hot start. And there was a lot of intensity, a lot of movement. A lot of it came thanks to Paul Rothrock. I got to say that in the first 45 minutes, he was outstanding.
Yeah.
Looking at my notes from the game, by the 15th minute, he had the assist for Jordan Morris. He created a chance on top of the box for Jesus Ferreira. He had a shot himself inside the 18 that he could have put that on frame, would have been great. But his overall movement and the way that as the farthest guy on the left side of this system, he created so much havoc. But it wasn't just that. It was also patience where there needed to be patience. If you need to drop back and, not rush in or force a situation, I thought that he did that well. I think Seattle, when it comes to being a possession-based team, that's what they want to do. In those first 45, it was effective movement of the ball, switching the point of attack consistently. In the 5th minute, Obed Vargas puts a dime for Alex Roldan on the right side. Alex brings it down, puts it into Ferreira. Jesus, I think, doesn't quite know if he wants to pass it or shoot it, and he kind of does one in between. So it doesn't quite go to Jordan, doesn't quite go on frame. So it's a missed opportunity. There's another opportunity where it's the exact same thing, but they're switching it to Paul Rothrock. So when this team is able to set up the way they want to play and execute it on the field, I'm going to give them a lot of credit for it. I think that when the Sounders I believe it was the 3rd goal, that's a 21 pass spell of possession prior to Jesus Ferreira getting that tap in front of goal, right? They show patience. They bring the ball on both sides. 21 passes. They reset it all the way back to Jonathan Bell, and they're able to bring it back forward, and they're able to exploit the channels. Jordan Morris, as a guy who does give you the ability to stretch out a defense. He didn't have a lot of room to run back and get behind the defense, because I think Sporting Kansas City did a good job, at least in that sense. Because if there's something that was surprising about this specific game when it came to Sporting Kansas City, was that they played with double pivots. It's unlikely, it's not something that they do. I think that they wanted to overpopulate the midfield. They wanted to keep Albert Rusnak contained, and they didn't want Jordan to have a lot of room in the half spaces as Ferreira, but they didn't do a very good job, just because I don't think they run it. So it was very gappy. There was a lot of space. It was actually compressing their back line a little bit and was just giving Seattle room to run. And I think that Seattle, with Albert and with Jordan Morris, and that's where I want to focus on here as I finish my conclusion of kind of my overall take of the game, is that Jordan Morris, despite not being able to do as his forte implies, right? He's the speed guy. He's the guy that's going to get behind the back line. In the goal, he is receiving the ball top of the box. I've said quite a few times that Jordan last season showed me that he could be a 9 that could play with his back to goal better, and in that play he does that. He receives the ball, he knows where he wants to go, he passes the ball to Paul Rothrock. He sees that the center backs are dragged out, he makes that run to the near post, and Paul Rothrock puts it in on a dime as well. And then obviously the technique for Jordan to put the ball away with little to no angle and with a ball that's coming pretty red hot, I was just very pleased. And that's what Jordan does. Jordan looked dangerous all game, and I think he only got 11 or 13 touches in the 45 minutes he was in, but they were all positive with the ball, positive in his link-up play. So I was just very pleased on what you want to see out of the team when Brian Smetzer puts it together and says, these are our principles, this is the way we're going to play. And even Jesus Ferreira, a guy that there were some opportunities in this one that you wish he would have done better with, but he's just very smart. And you could see why you want him in that right winger position where he tucks inside and you allow Alex, who also had a very good game. Alex Roldan, I thought, was on point both offensively and defensively. He helps up that connections. And we talked to Preki last week, and you can find that on Sounder Hard YouTube and the No Se Dice podcast, I'm sure. But it's about what he does in terms of patience, connecting, and playing for the system. And so he helped out on the build-out, helped out on the possession spells. He's just very cerebral with the ball, and that little bit of patience does help out this specific system. Do we want to see him be more aggressive at times? And he was. I think there was a lot of moments, specifically in his goal, where he takes his space, he makes the hard run, he's with the ball, he allows Albert Rusnak, well, that's actually credit to Albert, that he does the overlap to the right side and then he gets the ball. So I do think that we're starting to see, like what you said, this team really come together. And there were even times where I think that Jordan and Ferreira still had a little bit of rust. They've only played 100 and some minutes together all season long. And there was a couple of moments where Jordan's making a run, Ferreira hits him to the wrong space, and it's a missed opportunity. But I feel like Seattle, slowly but surely, is effectively using their concepts and their principles to be very good at what they want to do. But all of that, however, is encapsulated into the first half, because in the second, everything changed. And of course, I'm going to give you the ball back here, Ari. I'm not going to hold it, but there was adjustments from Sporting Kansas City. They realized that they were way too gappy. They bring in Munoz to kind of pin back a little bit of that offense of the Sounders that just was getting way too forward. They switched Saloui with Shapi at one point. Then Shapi comes off to bring in Munoz. They also get rid of Memo Rodriguez in midfield. That was kind of lost, it just chasing shadows there for them. And those adjustments do kind of bring back a little bit of fortitude to Sporting Kansas City. And then the Sounders, between the climate, I'm sure a lot of miles in these guys, and the fact that Sporting Kansas City down 3-0 through the kitchen sink and everything in between at you, it was kind of hard for them to manage the rest of that second half.
Yeah, we're going to talk about the second half. Didn't go as well, I think it's fair to say. But I did want to start by, giving credit and just noting the overall attacking performance in the first half, because, like I said, you can't do it up for a in-conference road game much better than that. They looked like the home team. They got 3 goals. It ended up being enough to get them what was a really important win. I was thinking to myself before the game, like, this is just a sneakily big game. This is a dogfight right now for one of the top 4 spots in the Western Conference. You got the Portland Timbies in there. You got LAFC in there. Vancouver they've got a solid hold on the 3rd spot right now. They're 5 points up on Seattle and Portland, but they're in a little bit of a free fall. They might be vulnerable to yielding that spot. San Diego and Minnesota have a little separation at the top, but this is it right now. The Sounders are in a stretch of the season where it's make or break as far as if they're going to get these home games in the playoffs. And if they had drawn or lost this game, that would have been crucial points dropped in that race in a situation where they were up 3 goals, which anytime you're up 3 goals, you have to see out the game and you have to get all 3 points. So the fact that it got that close to them dropping a couple of those points wasn't great, but that doesn't take away from the fact that the first half performance was fantastic. That opening goal that you were breaking down from Jordan Morris, just such good stuff. I love the outside the foot trademark kind of sweep he did to hit Rothrock on there, and then Rothrock's service from out wide right now is just on point, and it feels like this front 4 is really solidifying as far as who's going to be in it in a first choice starting 11. Right now, it's pretty clear that it's Paul Rothrock, Albert Rusnak, Jesus Ferreira, and Jordan Morris. There's been a lot of talk about who should be starting on the wings week in, week out. And with Leagues Cup and stuff coming up, that's going to be a rotation. But right now, Paul Rothrock and Jesus Ferreira are the ones who are providing the end product. And it's also, I'm obviously happy to see Jesus Ferreira heating up like this, because I stuck my neck out there and said that it was coming. I was like, he's gonna. People were so sure that he was going to goose egg for the season on goal scoring that they were making tattoo bets with Noah and stuff and getting all up on us in our comments section about how Craig Weibel is the most incompetent GM of all time for making that trade, all that stuff. And now he's up to 3 goals, 6 assists, and it looks like if he keeps up this relative pace, the numbers at the end of the season are going to be acceptable to very good potentially for what he's making, which is not a DP contract. So all that is great. All that is great. Can't play a Western Conference road game in the first half. Much better than that. The second half, like I said, did not go as well. You had Moose come on for Jordan Morris at the half for fitness, minutes restriction type stuff. But I think there, like you said, there was a couple of factors at play here. Someone brought it up in chat earlier. Maximus Dorcas here. How bad does the humidity and heat affect players? A lot. And I think that was part of it. It was 70% humidity in Kansas City, and Seattle looked like a team that was playing in 70% humidity that's not used to playing in elements like that. They were gassed. By the 60th or 70th minute, it was pretty clear that the team was gassed. And, Nico, for me, the way I see it, the fact that the game state and the game management deteriorated in the way it did, and they had to absorb that much pressure, that didn't surprise me. And I can live with that to an extent. That's just, I know people don't want to hear it, but in an MLS road game like this, when you're playing at a place like Sporting KC, stretches of games like that where they're on top of you and absorbing pressure, when you're playing in extreme heat, extreme conditions like that periods of the game like that are just kind of baked in. It's going to happen. It's about how you deal with it. It's about how you absorb that pressure without conceding goals. And it's a survival test. That's what it is. And so you just have to make it out of that by any means necessary. And so as far as like the attacking performance and output not sustaining itself in the second half and it becoming more surviving and absorbing pressure and all that, that's like not a shock to me. And I could live with that if that was the only thing. But now, Nico, it is time to play everyone's least favorite game. And it's called, can the Seattle Sounders make it through one MLS game without one of the fullbacks getting ejected? They could not quite do it this week. They got pretty close. It was down to the last couple minutes. I was like, all right, might end this with 11 men for the first time in a couple weeks. That's looking good. No fullback has been sent off so far. Okay, here we go. And this time it was Nouhou once again seeing red for the second time in the last 3 weeks or so. We'll talk about Nouhou. That I don't want to like pile on him. Everyone's been on him deservedly, and I get it. But let's just contextualize everything that with this team that's led up to this latest red card over the last few weeks, because you now have five red cards in Seattle's last 4 league games. Look,
that's some sort of record.
It's got to be a club record.
Figure that out.
I don't know if it's the MLS record, but I mean, you had
club record for sure. That I could probably
there's no way it was
a good amount.
You had the 2 red card doozy famously up in Vancouver, where Nouhou gets sent off with one of the worst red cards I've seen from a Sounders player until this last game. Jay Bell also gets sent off in that game. RBW and KKR also get sent off in the last couple weeks. And then you have this one from Nouhou, which was one of the craziest red cards I have seen. But before we talk about exactly what happened with this Nouhou one, I mean, look, Nico, I'm not like a disciplinarian type guy. All right. Like, I understand people make mistakes. Okay. And also over the course of a long regular season where you got 34 games plus Leagues Cup, plus Clubs World Cup, plus playoffs, you're probably going to be playing up close to 50 games before the end of the season. There's probably going to be a couple situations where you get a guy sent off. That happens every year to every team. So, you know, a red card here and there every once in a while is not like the end of the world. And I'm not going to get too bent out of shape over it. But is it a lot to ask to not have 5 red cards in 4 games? Is it a lot to ask for them to make it through one game without a fullback getting ejected? What's going on with this, Nico?
The concern there is the pattern and the variety of red cards, right? I mean, clearly there's a difference between having a yellow and having the maturity and the awareness of playing with a yellow, like a guy like Christian Roldan, who got a pretty soft yellow in the 37, 38 minute, I think. And then he plays the whole game, physical, strong, but smart, intelligently, very smart on the way he comes into tackles. He's not the one that's gonna, if there is a necessity for a tactical foul on a transition moment, he knows he can't do that. He knows he can't take it. He knows he's got to be careful in certain moments in the field, and he does it. But guys like Kalani, guys like Reed, that although younger, I am not gonna let them off easy. And just say, hey, you know what? Just they're young players. It's the way it is. No, especially Reed. Reed should know better. Reed has been part of this organization for a long time. Reed is a very, smart player. And he's a guy that in soccer years should know better at this point in time to be very careful. And he's been caught up on those moments of the double yellows. But that's fine. That's part of the game. It's, I'm still going to get on him, and I don't think that it should just be okay, and I'm not going to just give him a pass, but, it's part of the game. But then there are the moments of lack of maturity in lack of understanding that you have to live above moments, because if you allow a player to get under your skin or a fan to get under your skin, and your reaction or your impulse being bigger than your team, that's a problem. That's a huge problem for me. And Nouhou getting into it with a fan kind of goes beyond what is control the controllables, in terms of, using some of what Brian likes to say. Um, Brian can't control that decision, but he certainly can't control how he handles it, because I'm not going to beat up on Nouhou. Like, I'm not going to crucify him. I'm going to be upset at him, and I definitely think that he needs to do better, and there has to be some sort of repercussion. I'm wondering what that might look like. Brian said he was going to handle that internally, but that sort of red card kind of goes and overexceeds the point, the soccer component of things. So that's the concerning part, is that it's not just soccer, it's just a mentality, is where the team is at, is, how do we move forward? How do I get one of my best defenders to get in line and understand that he has to do better in that moment? So that's the concerning part, that it's just the variety of the red cards, the variety of the moments, and the moments in which it happened. It didn't cost Seattle. It almost does, because Sporting Kansas City was a Alex Roldan safe in the line away from tying this game. If it all comes together, it was at a different time in the game, but had Alex not saved that ball right as he's about to enter the net, it's another story. And we're here sitting talking about how the red card ended up costing a potential 3-3 game, right? So many issues, so many different factors that Brian's going to have to look into, that it is concerning.
I'm glad you brought up that Alex Roldan play, because in the context of everything else that had happened on the post-game show, I feel like we totally overlooked that. That was an insane play. Like, first of all, just the ball pinging around in the box there, it goes off the post, lands right to Joveljic. He had that ball is going in. I don't even understand how he contorted his body.
Yeah, that was weird. I don't know how his foot went that way. It almost looked like a scene from the Fantastic Four. Like, he just stretched out his leg and just stopped it. It was crazy.
That was one of the craziest goal line clearances I have ever seen. Huge play in the game, like you mentioned, straight up saved a goal by contorting his body in ways that I didn't even know was possible. I was worried he got injured because of his reaction right after that. He turned out to be fine. He got up, he played out the rest of the game. But that was a hell of a play. But yeah, no, I mean, as far as these red cards go, I'm a simple man. I don't really ask for a lot. But my one challenge for the Seattle Sounders for this game coming up against the Colorado Rapids on Wednesday, can they make it the full 90 with all 11 guys on the field and both fullbacks? They at some point they're going to have to do that. It's funny, like, their record in these last 3 games, all of which have seen them get a fullback ejected, they're 2-0-1. So I mean, I think it would be an even more serious discussion. I'm kind of joking around about it, but it would be a more serious discussion if it was costing them results, which it hasn't, thankfully, but it will eventually if you keep getting guys sent off and just overall playing with a lack of discipline like that. It is going to catch up to you, and they're fortunate that it didn't cost them in this game. It's all well and good to say a win is a win and it doesn't matter. And I agree with that to an extent, but it's about what's a sustainable formula for success moving forward. Getting a guy ejected every single week for 5 guys in 4 games on what has to be a league record pace of ejections, that is not what I would dub a sustainable method of taking results and victories in Major League Soccer, or frankly, any league. You got to be able to make it to a game with all 11 guys still on the field. But let's talk about this Nouhou one in particular, because this was just an absolute debacle that it made it feel like I don't know. It took away from the vibe that you usually get from a win. I think I might have been overstating it after the game a little bit. I was talking about how like this low key is like a win that doesn't feel like a win and stuff like that. I mean, I don't know if I would go that far now, a couple days removed from it, but it's just like, oh God, like you can't do that. And the whole circumstance of how Nouhou got sent off was just crazy. Like you said, he gets into it with a fan. He claims the fan flipped him off, and then he throws the ball into the stand. I'm pretty sure it hit the fan, which, I mean, he's going to get suspended. He's going to get suspended for at least a couple games. In addition to the 1-game suspension, he was already going to have to serve for the red card. And there's just no circumstance where the events that were being described can lead to that reaction. So he claimed that the fan flipped him off, and that's why he reacted that way. So number one, if that's the case, and it was just the fan flipping him off, that is not a reason to throw a ball in the into the stands. There's no way that an opposing fan, like at a road venue, flipping you off, that's like a normal day at the office for a professional athlete or an MLS player. You're going to get flipped off. There's a famous video of Jordan Morris after scoring his 4th goal at that exact stadium, giving the Sporting Kansas City fans the 1, 2, 3, 4 for all the goals that he scored. Every single fan that you can see in the video is flipping him off. Did he throw a ball into the stands? No. So if it comes out that a fan said something crazy to him, like way out of pocket, way out of line, then I'll assess that as it comes. But with what we know right now, that the provocation was just a fan flipping him off, that is not a proportionate reaction, and it's something that you have to know is probably going to get you sent off. Then there was the clip of him where it looks like pretty clear that he is flipping off the referee, which is also something you can't do. There's stuff floating around out there, theories. I think Schmetz might have alluded to this at one point, but supposedly there's an explanation out there that he was flipping the ref off as a demonstration of what the fan did to him. Which, when I first heard that, I was like, okay, that's probably not true. If you watch the clip and look at his body language, it's like, okay, maybe that's what he was doing. You still can't do that, because if you do that, then the ref is rightfully going to think that you're just flipping him off. So that's that's just an added layer of something that you can't do in that situation. Then you throw in the issue of, like, he got a crazy red card in the Vancouver game. He made a really boneheaded play in the Botafogo game where he conceded the foul off the ball that led to the free kick where they scored. And now he gets thrown out of the Sporting KC game at a point in the game where Sporting KC had just gotten a penalty kick just a minute before that was going to bring this game within 3-2 with a lot of time left in the game. You absolutely, under no circumstances ever at all, can get sent off in that situation. It can happen. He's going to get suspended, like I said, for at least 2 or 3 games on top of the suspension that he already is going to get hit with. And then at that point, it's Brian Schmetzer. It's on Brian Schmetzer to figure out how he deals with this, because with the disciplinary issues with Nouhou in the last couple weeks, and then this is dating back to last season too. He and Rui Diaz got into it with Schmetz in the locker room after they won against FC Dallas, and I think they both got suspended for a game in that context. He missed his Uber in DC and missed a film session, got suspended for that. Now you have 2 red cards and a boneheaded off-ball foul that might have cost you a result in the Club World Cup in the last 3 or 4 weeks. What's going on with Nouhou, Nico? Because to me, it seems pretty obvious that there's something going on, like, off the field, that is, I don't know if it's he's upset with his contract or his role on the team, or if there's something else going on off the field. Whatever it is, whatever the case may be, I don't know how you can put him out there in an MLS game right now, not because of ability necessarily. It's because he is losing his composure, getting ejected, committing fouls that are hurting the team, and the net result is that it ripple affects everyone else. Like that's the thing with like the selfish act like that, where you get ejected in a situation where it's just completely unnecessary. It's not like a foul that takes place in the course of the game, or in the case of the Vancouver red card, it's just one that you got to know not to make. So I don't know. What do you make all this, Nico?
Look, I think it's very complex, and I'll be very careful with how I phrase this. But it's a cultural thing, and it is something that is not to your theory. It has nothing to do with something being wrong. This is new, and this is the Nouhou that we've always had. I mean, I can point out things that have been reported and are reported of just Nouhou's demeanor sometimes, and impulsiveness, and maybe lack of awareness. And
This is worse.
something
This
that
is worse though. This is like
no, it's absolutely worse, and that's where I'm heading. That's where I'm heading, because
Okay.
it is worse, because in sports in general, doesn't matter which, soccer, you got the Pepes of the world, and basketball, the Rasheed Wallaces of the world, and you have a talent and a player that does a specific thing for you, and he is a huge part of your team. So you have to know how to deal with that person, and not with giving him necessarily the privilege to just do whatever he wants, but you're going to be ready for him to have a couple of mistakes along the line of a season. The problem with Nouhou is that if he's starting to overexceed the amount of damage that he does for the team in comparison to what he's providing the team, then that's when it becomes an even bigger problem. And culturally, is it getting beyond the point of it being manageable for a team or a coach? And I think that there's a variation of things, right? The whole thing with Raul and Nouhou, that's very different than something like this, where it's costing you being out the next game, and that was an internal policy problem. But now you're, like you mentioned, you could essentially be suspended beyond the regular of a red card or whatever that might be. So you're hurting the team, and that's where Brian Smetzer gets put in a difficult situation, and the organization as a whole. And they have to sit down with Nouhou and say, look, we understand that this is the way things have gone, and there's been moments where bad decisions have been made, and there are things like, maybe when I'm with Cameroon, I lost my passport, or something happened and I had to be here a little bit later, and those are things that you can manage. But when you're going out of your way in a game to lose your composure against a fan, and as you mentioned, is something that every athlete should unfortunately know, is that they're going to get heckled at a stadium. Now, I'm not saying that it's okay.
Part of the job.
I'm not saying that it's okay. So if there was something said that was racial or whatever, that we could be like, wow, I understand why he might have had the reaction. You still, there's still ways that you can handle it. And we've seen it in soccer where a player will go to the ref and be like, hey, this is what happened. So and so said something, and the ref can stop the game or whatever it might be. There's always a way around, and that's kind of where I'm disappointed with Nouhou. And I, again, have always been a Nouhou supporter because of what he provides for this team, because of his specialist role that he has been a very important pillar for this team for a very long time in order to get trophies and success. And so for me, it has to be a cultural issue with the player, and kind of the behavior that maybe you have allowed him to do certain things, and now it's kind of escalated to a whole other point. And this one is the worst one. This one is the worst one because and I know he doesn't want to do this, but it almost feels like you're kind of slapping your team in the face, right? I mean, I know he doesn't want to let his team down, but he did it. He let his team down by allowing that moment to get him red carded. And although I do believe, when I rewatched the game, I watched it a couple of times, I do think that he's saying, what, red card, but he did this to me. He did it to me, right? So I would understand where that would be a reaction, but it's just not the way that you want to go about it, right? And you see Jay Bell just kind of grab him, right? Because maybe Jay Bell's thinking, oh, is he flicking him off? Like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
So it's a whole mess. All to conclude that, to me, you just have to be careful where the culture of the group is headed to, and you need to snip this in the butt immediately. And I don't think that Nouhou is a guy that is going to be negligent on his behavior just because, but you also have to make sure that you let him know that impulsiveness is also not an excuse for something like that to happen, because you need to be above that. You need to be better. You're too experienced. You're too far into it. You're too good at what you do to allow something like this to just define you. So it's a difficult situation, but I do think that it's not about anything that's happening today. I just think that that's kind of the things that come with Nouhou. And when they start hurting the team more than helping it, that's when, situations like this happen, and when you got to have more serious conversations with players.
Flipping off the ref to demonstrate that you got flipped off. It's just like, oh.
Well, I just I think it's like I can see it. I can see it where, like,
if you watch
to somebody,
yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense. Like,
yeah, it's like, oh, come on, what, really? He did this to me, Like, I was like, oh, that kind of makes sense. But without a context and with the cameras on you, it looks totally. I mean, a picture says 1,000 words sometimes.
Yeah.
Although out of context words, but that's difficult. Yeah.
It was just it was a ridiculous situation. The team shouldn't have been in that situation, and if it had cost them the game, or like the result, the 2 points, they would have had no one to blame. It would have been another self-inflicted situation, not the other team getting the better of you, but you doing it.
Yeah, because Sporting Kansas City was on top. Jovic gets one in the final minutes that he probably should have shot, and he doesn't shoot, and he ends up passing it back top of the box. But if that goes in, that ties the game.
Yeah, no, they were fortunate to win the game. They were very fortunate to get out of there with the win. Luckily, they did. Andy T rose to the occasion in place of Stephen Fry, who's still in concussion protocol. I thought that Andy T made some nice saves. I was never all that worried about Andy T. I've watched a lot of Andy T. I feel like pretty confident that he is an MLS #1. I think we saw that in that game. He's got some freaky athleticism, Nico. Like some of the jumping around and acrobatics he was doing. He played well, so that, and he had to in that second half. So that was good to see, I guess. But
yeah, no, Andy T solid. My one concern about him is just his distribution, and he's worked at it, and he's gotten gradually better, but with his feet and passing the ball around and where he needs to put it, I feel like he does struggle at times, and whether he lags it too far out, or he's got difficulties putting the ball where he wants. That's something that Steph has worked on. Also, he wasn't great at it initially, and then he was very, very good at it now, or just a lot better at it, actually. I want to say very, very good, but he's gotten a lot better at it. I feel like that's the one component that where Andrew Thomas can get better at. What I'll say one last thing about the whole situation before we move on from that subject is you had kind of mentioned that it kind of killed the vibes. What I would say is that that's where maybe I will lay the line. I think that situation and that red card was maybe the cherry on top, or the straw that broke the camel's back type of situation, because the vibes are already going to be bad, because the entire second half was poor, right? You were unable to be in possession. You struggled to adjust to some of the things that Sporting Kansas City was doing. I think that you were exposing the flanks the entire first half, but between exhaustion and the way that Sporting Kansas City decided to play you with a 4-4-2, and there were times it was a 4-4-2 diamond, and then they were just using two guys to really press you. Embedded was getting a lot more space on his left side in the second half, so numbers were getting forward. So you were unable to manage the game. So I think the vibes were going to be bad regardless. But Nouhou's moment and mistake, let's not call it beyond that, a mistake, ends up being the cherry on top. And I think that's what really just killed the whole thing. But I feel like the vibes were going to be bad no matter what, because like you said, Seattle was lucky to get out of there with the win.
Yeah, no, I see what you're saying regarding how the second half went. For me personally, if you took the Nouhou situation and the red card out of it, and it was just a situation where they were put under a ton of pressure for the entire second half, conceded a goal or two, didn't come close to replicating what they did on offense in the first half, and just looked exhausted, beat, and surviving the game. If they had done that and made it out of there with all 11 guys on the field and without the whole extra debacle of an ending, me personally, I'd have been like, all right, whatever. A win is a win. That second half was not great, but you're on the road at Sporting KC in 70% humidity. You take whatever kind of win that you can get, especially because you look fantastic on offense in the first half. Rusnak was firing. Jesus Ferreira got another goal. Jordan's back. He gets a goal. Like there's a lot more positive than negative. And I still think like the potential positive implications of what we saw in the first half, as far as how the attack looked and how it's coming together, would have in the long term outweighed whatever negativity I would have felt about the second half. And I'll probably feel that way further down the line, but just with it being fresh and coming off the game like that, I don't know. I might see that a little bit differently, but I see what you're saying in that it wouldn't have felt like the greatest win ever, regardless of what happened with Nouhou. That's definitely true. Nico, before we talk about this Colorado game, let's hit this from Alex in chat, because this is a topic we've been keeping track of, and I think it's worth talking about more. He asks, how are we going to manage Obed and Christian's minute load for the rest of the season? Do we think Leyva and Snyder Brunel are enough, or were Alex Roldan is Alex Roldan a backup option as well? I trust Alex there. Nico, how do you see this situation with load management for the double pivot? Because I mean, they can't play a full 90 every single week.
No, they can't. And I do believe that Snyder's going to be in the rotation, in the conversation. But knowing Brian, I feel like he would be a lot more willing to slide a guy like Kalani there, a guy like Alex there, trying to, essentially get a more experienced person that he could trust there. I mean, Snyder Brunel's 18, never played. I guess he's played some minutes with the first team. But, he's definitely been part of the preseason in Marbella. So I like him. I'm very high on Snyder Brunel. But at the same time, I would not want
never played it. He's never played an MLS game.
Never played an MLS game. So then those are the things where you want to protect that. You don't want to burn him out. You don't want to put him in a situation that he's not there to succeed. So that's why I think that you could do that. I do know that they have some, center midfielders that they've looked at in the past that could be on the cheap, but I don't know how that would work in terms of like the roster build of things. Obviously the U22 is going to go to a forward. So can you go out there and bring an experienced CM to play? I mean, I don't think that's out of the question. But I do think that if necessary with this current roster, you probably see more of a Kalani or a Alex, maybe a
Kim Keehee.
No, but I would say maybe an Albert, maybe. I mean, he's played there before. I'm just kind of throwing stuff out here. I mean, if I have Ferreira who could play at the, false nine, can you drop Albert a line? I don't know if, they would.
Yeah, I don't love that. I that is something that he did when he was first on the team.
So there are things that they can do, but it's definitely not ideal. It's not ideal. And I do think that he does hold Obed here for a little bit longer. I mean, obviously, Senator Hub reported the extension that hasn't been official or anything like that, but obviously very well sourced. And I think part of it is that you might have to kind of keep Obed here and see the rest of the season, and then maybe next season you send him where he wants to be. And I think that Obed is in no rush to leave. I think he's betting on himself that he can continue to maximize his talent, maximize his time here, and value himself even more than he is now. And so it's a good conversation. But Seattle's current depth at center midfielder, it's looking tough.
Bad Sequels coming in with the first super chat of the show. Thank you for the $5.
Hey,
Bad Sequels. $5 towards Nouhou's red card trading classes. I mean, yeah, that's a valuable
my man.
That's a valuable donation at the moment. God knows that he could use it. All right, Nico, let's talk a little bit about this Colorado Rapids game coming up on Wednesday. You got a situation here where it's a short rest, short turnaround. Midweek game coming off a Saturday game, so we know how those go. There's going to be some squad rotation. So what I wanted to do was I'm going to pull up the lineup builder here in a second, but I guess as far as this Rapids team goes, I don't think there's all that much to say about them that wasn't covered when I interviewed Mark Asher Goodman, aka the Rapids soccer rabbi of the Holding the High Line podcast. The last time these two teams played, the way I see the Colorado Rapids, they've got a couple of good players, especially in attack. Georgi Mihailovic is an upper tier number 10 in the league, and Rafa Navarro, I like him. We saw what he could do in the Seattle game where he scored that goal that got waved off, but that was still like a pretty sick play. And just in general, he's a good number 9. He has good movement. He's pretty
could be better
gifted.
finishing, but he's very dangerous. He does a lot of things.
Yeah, he's always. It feels like he's always getting chances. He's got a nose for goal. He's always in and around the goal. You got to watch out for him. Aside from that, it's not like this is not Real Madrid out there. It's Colorado Rapids. They Seattle beat the Colorado Rapids 1-0 a little bit controversially because of that Rafa Navarro non-goal or whatever, but they did beat them in Colorado the last time these two teams played. And just historically speaking, Colorado typically struggle on these road trips to Seattle in a similar way that Seattle usually struggles a little bit, like playing at altitude in Colorado. But I know the all-time records when these two teams play at Lumen Field is pretty lopsided in Seattle's favor. So you do have that, but you also you're going to have some squad rotation. But so before we do this lineup stuff, Nico, any thoughts on the Rapids or where they're at right now? I mean, they're I think in 7th or 8th place. I'm about to look at the table here. They are, that's the East. They're in 7th right now, 8-10-5, -6 goal differential. So I don't know. What do you think of the Colorado Rapids?
I think that they are an inconsistent team that struggles to play what Chris Armas has this signed for them. I think that Colorado is a team that has a lot of big names who are maybe just a shell or just not as good as they once were. Vines, Cannon, Cole Bassett. Those are guys that you look at on paper and you're thinking, wow, that's a pretty good team. But if you look at the way they've played and the struggles that they've had, they've had some issues. I think they like to get wide. I think that Calvin Harris and DiPietro, over the last couple of games that I've seen, they're dangerous. They get themselves into good positions. I think that Navarro is everywhere. They have some issues putting the ball in the back of the net, despite them beating Vancouver 3-0 this weekend. It should have been 5. It should have been 6. I think Navarro misses a PK as well. I think that they struggle putting the ball in the back of the net, but the volume is there. I think that defensively, they're very vulnerable, especially when it comes to winning duels. I feel like their fullbacks are very good getting forward, but they have issues defensively. Vines more than Cannon. Zach Steffen is back, so that's kind of interesting. He had a big game against Vancouver, a couple of big saves, making himself big, a couple of good shot stopping moments. He saved one against Brian White right on Brian White. So that helps this team definitely in a lot of aspects. When it comes to distribution, when it comes to just the leadership of that back line, I thought that they were pretty good against Vancouver. Again, Vancouver was also, if not unlucky, just not clinical in front of goal. I mean, they had a couple of opportunities that should have been put away. Not to take anything away from Zach Steffen, but there was a couple of moments where I'm like, man, if you put that to the far post, that's going in. I don't care who it is that's on goal. So they're just very inconsistent. I do think that Seattle should look at this as a win, especially at home. We'll see about the rotation, but there's definitely no slouch. I'll say that there's no slouch, but the depth of the team as well. I don't know.
They're going to have to rotate too.
They're going to have to rotate, right? So when you look at the depth, I don't know if they have that much of a depth. Obviously, a guy like Rosemary is a guy that you can bring in, and he's a fullback that gets forward very well. Josh Atensi didn't play last game, so he's probably going to come in and play.
Oh, they saved 90. Him. They saved him up for this.
Saved him. That's right. You're going to come in here and show us. So Josh Atensi is a guy that's been very good for this team. It'll be interesting how they come out and play, but I don't think it's an impossible task. Seattle's probably still they're still the underdog. Seattle's definitely going to be the favorite here at home. So now they got to play like it.
All right, yeah, let's talk about how Seattle's going to tackle this squad rotation. I'm going to pull up the lineup builder right now because I think this is a situation where it is it's worth looking into how exactly they're going to line this up to start. This is like the theoretical first choice 11 that FOTMob has right now, but we're going to go through and build how we think, Nico, that Seattle is going to line it up on Wednesday versus Colorado with the knowledge that there's going to have to be a fair amount of rotation coming off the Saturday game. Before we do that, James has got the $2 super chat coming in. Thank you, James. Appreciate you as always. This one's for you, Nico. Rumor: no Ohio bid was rejected, and they said the price is $10 million. I also saw this rumor. Is that true?
I don't know where the rumor came from, but last I heard, the last number that was not 10 was still above what Seattle was willing to pay. I had seen more of a $5.5 million rebuttal, right? The Sounders set a price. No Ohio's team set a price, and at the end of the day, it was at 5.5. I don't think 10. I think 10 is outrageous, so I don't know about the number. But I do know that complications were already coming. Me and Jeremiah actually talked about it on Friday, not on the show, but off the mics. But it was already the level of confidence had dropped dramatically by Friday. So negotiations are still ongoing, but the price tag has seemed to skyrocketed from where he first started.
It seems like that they are, whether they said 10 or 5.5, they're trying to set a price that they already know that Seattle's not going to want to pay because they don't want to do the deal anymore for whatever reason. If they were asking for 10, I mean, you may as well just say we're not selling them. Like, that's not happening.
Exactly. Like, and look, they still have some targets down in South America. One specifically that I like, he's 19, but he's 19 in a specific South American league that by the time you're 19, you got a whole lot of experience at 19. He's got a similar frame, maybe not right at 6 foot, but maybe 5'11", 5'10". And, he's got a lot of similar check marks. So there's options, but just like I said, it's all going to be about the money. It's all going to be about, the guys that you've kind of missed on already. So it's complicated. Additionally to that, if there's one thing that I don't quite understand when it came to where they're scouting and where they're going for this U22 is that if I don't have a free range of a budget, if I don't have that Arthur Blank money, I don't know if I want to be in Europe. Europe, first of all, you're dealing with pounds and euros, and you're dealing with European players at 22, 20, 19 that they feel like they're where everybody wants to be, and having to move down to MLS can be a lot harder, especially for some of these leagues with a bit of a pedigree, right? Eredivisie, Serie A, Bundesliga, those type of leagues is where people want to go develop, they want to go play. So it can get difficult there. So that's my only thing, where that's why in South America you have a lot more leverage to, one, money wise, money goes a longer way down there, and then two is the fact that you could say, hey, you come to MLS, and MLS is a stepping stone for you to end up in Europe, like this. Oh, okay, so it gives you more leverage.
Got it, James. Thanks for bringing that up. I meant to ask Nico about that rumor and forgot. So good shout there. All right, Nico, let's hit this lineup. I want to prognosticate how we think they're going to do this, because it is going to be a different one than we saw against Sporting KC, without a doubt. So let's start with the back line. We know that Andy T is going to draw another start. We know that Nouhou famously is not. So let's start right there. Who gets the nod at left back in this game, do you think?
Maybe Reed Baker-Whiten.
Yeah, I agree. I think we're going to see an RBW. And again, we're going to find out if the Seattle Sounders can make it through a game without a fullback getting ejected. RBW, he's had his own issues with that at times. So this is it's a big game. It's a big game for the fullbacks. Alex Roldan, I imagine, is going to start on the right. I trust him, but you never know at one point you're going to be playing with 10 guys right now. How do you see the CB situation? I think this is an interesting one because Yamar traveled but didn't play in Kansas City. I think Jackson Reagan is probably going to start again. They usually have no issue riding him on short rest, but you think this is accurate right here, J-Bo?
No, I think it's going to be Yamar. Good luck
holding
that man back one more game. Good luck doing that. That dude has been ready to go. He's worked his tail off to get back. At the very least, you put him on a minute restriction. But I think he'll start this game. I think that the probability is 90% that he'll start this game. He loves playing against Navarro. He feels like he plays good against Colorado. So yeah, I definitely think that Yamar and Jackson Reagan will start this game.
Joel asks, can Kalani play on the left? RBW hasn't been very consistent this season. That was the one alternative idea that I thought of for what they could do at left back. I think it's going to be RBW, and I'd be good with that. Like RBW for the red card that he took. He gave up the penalty in the Sporting KC game. He is a very talented attacking player, so I'm still happy to see more of him. But do you think, just I guess in general, is playing on the left something that's in KKR's bag, do you think?
I wouldn't necessarily advise it. I've mainly seen him play on that right side, on that right pocket, and it could be difficult. We've seen Alex had issues with switching to that side at times. I wouldn't call him an ambidextrous player. If we have a necessity and you feel like you needed to go with somebody, I'd rather go with Paul Rothrock. He plays that side. He's played, wingback before. I mean, shoot. I mean, if you're really struggling there, I would much rather have Paul play there. That has to look comfortable on that side rather than Kalani, especially because I think that Kalani will start instead of Alex in this one.
Oh, okay. So that was the next thing I was going to get to. But yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right that with Alex putting it in that game, and also, I mean, he seems fine, but it's a good opportunity to give him a rest and give KKR some more run. So this is a fun little backline. The RBW KKR fullback duo. The red card situation that we're talking about. Those are two of the offenders in the last couple weeks, but they both do offer more dynamic attacking play from that spot than most other players on the roster. Certainly RBW does more than Nouhou. And I think KKR has shown to be a very effective attacker this year. So maybe they can bomb these guys forward, get after the Rapids with their wide backs a little bit. But let's hit the double pivot, because I think this is a situation where you have to rest both of these guys. Like, would you agree with that?
I think that you should. I don't know if they will because of the current roster. And although my pick would be to rest Christian.
You can't start Christian here, can you? You can't.
Again, I wouldn't, and it's concerning, but he has been so pivotal, and he has been so durable throughout his career, that I don't know. I think he'd be the guy that might stay on. If I had to bet, I would say that they do rest him just on metrics alone. So what I have as the pivots is Danny and Obed.
Okay, I'd be okay with that. I kind of been joking about how Obed's 19, so he doesn't need to rest. But I mean, in all seriousness, like, like Christian at the end of the KC game, it was just like, all right, give this man a day off. Like,
yeah,
he's earned
absolutely.
He's earned it. I want that for him. So,
but I feel like there's going to be a lot of deliberation on that. I really do think that that's the one position of the field that could shift everything, right? It could move everything. Can we give Alex another go and put Kalani there? What do we do? I've told you that I think that the Albert Rusnak thing could be a thing. So, I think that that's probably the hardest decision going into this Colorado game, specifically knowing that you got San Jose coming in, very good offensive team that you're going to want to be able to limit in the midfield. So yeah, it's a tough decision, but I'm gonna go ahead and go with
that. Benjamin brings up the man that I was going to talk about next. Do you think that De La Vega may be seriously considered for a 6-8 role at some point, given his motor and defensive willingness? Yeah, I mean, we're all kind of pontificating right now on other ways that De La Vega might get on the field. I mean, we had a caller in the postgame live, Jeremy Peterman, talking about playing him at left back, which is an idea I theorized about in preseason, which I don't think is going to happen. But 6 or 8 role, I mean, some of the work he was doing in this Kansas City game after his cameo could have lent itself to something like that. But for now, I think De La Vega has to start this game coming up out wide. Would you agree?
I agree. I think Pedro De La Vega will start on the right side.
All right. We got De La Vega in there. But what about these next 2 spots? This is Rusnak is one that Schmetz doesn't seem all that concerned about load management with, and he's been very, very durable, very consistent throughout his time on the team. So do you think Rusnak starts at center attacking mid here, or do you think they give him a rest?
No, I think it's Albert.
Okay. All right. I kind of agree. I think there's not usually an aversion to playing him on short rest, and it's gone. He usually maintains his level roughly. So, but what about this? I think I kind of feel like that it might be Rothrock here again, but well, actually, I think this might be a Ryan Kent situation where why not use him and see if you can get him going a little bit and give Rothrock, who's been putting it in lately, a little bit of a rest here. So I would plug Ryan Kent in. Do you agree with that?
I absolutely agree. I think that you need to, first of all, Ryan Kent is a guy that you're starting to see a little bit of, or I have during games, some body language frustration. I think that you want to get him going. I think that you want to assess what you can get out of him if you need to in the future, right? This is a guy that is here in a short term, and there's been question marks about where he's at, what he can provide, what he can do. I think that he shows us small, moments, even in the last game where, he's very smart. He shifts very well. He goes inside. I think that him and Reed are a good pair on that end.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that without a doubt, this should be a Ryan Kent game.
And then, what do you think about striker Moose or JMO? Like, ordinarily, I think it would be an easy spot where you just plug Moose in, but with Jordan just coming back off the injury and only going 45 at Sporting KC, maybe they do start him and run him for the first half again. Do you think this is a Moose or Jordan situation? Nico's frozen. Adding and removing. Okay, I got you now. Moose or Jordan?
Jordan, I think you said it perfectly. I think that in another situation, in a normal situation, it would be, a Danny Musovski Turbo game. But because of everything that you just mentioned, I think Jordan Morris needs the time. Maybe do you push him 50, 57, 60 minutes? Do you do 45? Regardless of, and still under minute restriction, I think Jordan starts his game, no doubt for me.
All right, so there you have it. This is the official Lobbing and Scorchers kickoff projected starting 11, sponsored by no one. Hit me up if you want to sponsor this new segment that I just made up just now. But this is I think this is a situation where it's a depth test. We can see if the depth that this team supposedly can see them through a game where they're on short rest. Colorado is going to have to be rotating their starting 11 similarly, so it's going to be depth on depth, and let's see what they can do. I mean, as I want to see De La Vega, hopefully find some form a little bit. That's obviously been a big storyline on this team for the last few weeks, is if and when he can get going and make good on his $7 million potential. Ryan Kent, obviously, the storyline with him right now is how hot a start he has that he hasn't been able to recapture in recent weeks. I still think that we were talking about this on the post game as well, but I still think that the individual moments of just like brilliance and flair and style that you see from Ryan Kent, you're still seeing those pop up every now and again. The latest one was in this Sporting KC game where he was just dribbling through, bopping through guys like traffic cones. So you still do see that, but the final product has not been there in his last really like month or so since his super electric start to his Sounders tenure. So I think that's the big thing that I'd be watching in the event that this is the lineup that we see, is the wing play. Can De La Vega and Ryan Kent get going? And then obviously if Jordan Morris does get the start, can he build off what was a fantastic first start back at Sporting KC? And then the fullbacks would be another storyline as well. KKR and RBW, can they kind of add an attacking element against a Rapids team that's playing on the road? This is my task for the Seattle Sounders this week. Can they make it through 90 minutes plus second half stoppage time without one of the fullbacks getting ejected? It might just be RBW and KKR tasked with that this week. And really, at this point, Nico, if I'm Brian Schmetzer, I'm like, all right, if anyone gets a red card in this next game and makes it 6-5, I'm literally flipping the entire the entire 11. I'm throwing Tacoma Defiance out there, or so. He's got to like put his foot down and say that, you boys, we got to finish this with 11 guys on the field, no ejections. So that's another thing I'm keeping an eye on. And then, of course, if Ymar starts, that would be fantastic, and it would be worth keeping an eye on if he looks to his old self, which I have no doubt that he will. He's one of the most consistent players on the team, one of the best defenders in the league. I've been saying for weeks, I just cannot wait to get him back, because he's been sorely missed. You really see what he means to this team when he is out for any sort of extended period of time. So I like this 11. I think this is an 11 that should be expected to go out there and be able to beat the Colorado Rapids coming into Lumen Field. And I think these situations, it's, you always like to see your first choice starting 11 to get an evaluation on that. But these types of situations are important too, to find out where your depth really stacks up against teams that are also having to rotate. So, Nico, any last thoughts on the lineup or this Rapids game?
Yeah, no, I think you need some competitive minutes out of a lot of these guys. I think that it's more than positive to have a game like this one where you are coming from a good win. You're moving up in the standings. You're at home. You got things under control. You are going to have clearly a plan B if things are not looking correctly, and you might have to, adjust in the second half. But I think that's solid. I'm also interested on, like maybe, I don't know, now that I'm looking at it right now, like if if the problem with De La Vega is the fact that he's a little too free-willing on the right side, as he comes inside, does all these things, like, can you flip him up to the left side and, tell him, hey, you're going to be an end line type of guy. You're going to be way on this side. You're going to try to take guys on, but be the guy that crosses the ball in on your left preferred foot. And maybe you move a guy like Brian Ken on the right side, where he clearly likes to cut inside and work in those inside pockets. Clearly he prefers the left side, but I don't know. You could just play with it, tinker with it. And then Danny Leyva, man, I think that he's a guy that you need to continue to groom, and he needs to be in here with some competitive minutes, because you are going to need him more and more as you get closer to Leagues Cup, as you are going to try to figure out how often do you rest a guy like Christian Roldan. So all eyes in my regard are going to be on Danny Leyva and the sort of performance he can have against a very good midfield in Colorado. So is a big challenge. It'll be nice to see him help out with the distribution and the buildup. Without JP, Danny Leyva's role immediately becomes more important, and he immediately has more responsibilities for this team, because he does have a very preferred foot. He's a guy that distributes the ball great. I've said it 1,000 times that he's got one of the best foot on the team, whether it's on set pieces or whether it's coming out of the back. So it's going to be interesting how Brian uses him. If he unless Brian is like, you guys have no idea, I'm running it back. I mean, I don't know, but if Leyva is the guy that starts, I think that he's going to have a bigger role going into this game.
Yeah, no, it's a good shout. His role on this team is elevated with the JP injury situation. There's no question about it. And I think that we're going to be accurate that he's going to be starting this game, and it's going to be an important game for him and his stock as the Sounders take on the stretch run of the season in a dogfight for a top 4 spot in the West without JP in there. All right, Nico, I think we can call it right there for this episode of Lobbing Scorchers Kickoff. Thank you all, as always, so much for tuning in, starting your week off with us here. Appreciate all the support. Appreciate the super chats this morning. If you have not done so yet, like the video. That is the number one best way, as I understand it, to get us in that algo, which really helps us out. So like the video. Don't be stingy with the like button. Like the video. If you have not done so yet, please subscribe to the channel. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us on TikTok. LobbingScorchers.com/sauce. We'll be back at it. I'm not sure about post-game lives on Wednesday, but if I don't do it on Wednesday, I think probably what's going to happen is I'll do what I did last week and take some calls on Under the Lights. That just might be how it has to go with this midweek game here. We got to juggle stuff around a little bit, but yeah, we're gonna get out of here on that. Nico, thanks as always for doing this. And yeah, do you have anything parting thoughts you wanted to get out there?
Yeah, 2 things. One, I mentioned during our last show that this negotiation was going to get slow. Think of it like that, right? Right now, maybe the number was heightened. Maybe Seattle walks off the table. That doesn't mean that it's completely off the table. You're always going to get a call back. It's kind of when you leave that dealership, like, all right, man, you know what? It's fine. You know what? I'll take the 4. I'll take the 3. It's always not a thing until it's a thing. So be mindful. If that price right now went up and there is, clear concern that number for Nouhou, Ohio might be too high, I wouldn't be surprised if at the end of the day they'll come back and it's like, all right, man, well, we thought about it. You walked off the lot. Just come back and pick up your car. So go ahead and be patient there. And then number 2, I did want to give a shout to Garth Lagerwey. He was diagnosed with cancer. Atlanta United sent out a press release. It sounds like it's a treatable, and there's a lot of positivism when it comes to him being able to overcome this. But we sent him a huge shout, and we wish him a quick and full recovery from that situation.
Absolutely. Well said there, Nico. Best wishes to Garth once again from everyone here at Lobbing Scorchers. In that press release, they ended it with a quote from Garth where he said, "I shall return," which I thought was a very Garth. It's almost like a way of Garth saying, like, "I got this. Like, I'll be back." So, yeah, thanks for bringing that up. And yeah. Follow me on Blue Sky for updates on what the schedule is going to look like for our stuff throughout the week. It's going to be a little bit different, like I said, with the midweek game. And we will catch you guys next time. Thank you so much for the support. Thank you for tuning in. Peace.
Some people come to Lumen Field for the tactics, for the soccer, the atmosphere. And some come for Paul Rothrock's hair. Me personally, I come for both, because I have agendas to push. Live soccer isn't just better, it's way more personal. From making friends to becoming the guy in your section that's just constantly yelling about advanced statistics. Get tickets to any Sounders match by visiting lobbingscorchers.com/tickets. You support the pod, our agendas, the vibes, and the chaos.